Before diving into the video, did you know that over 80% of you watching right now aren't subscribed? Your one like and one subscribe means the absolute world to this channel and helps us keep going. Hit those buttons real quick and let's get into the video. Chapter 1. The System's Parting Curse. For the sake of being with Evelyn, I even turned against the system, choosing without hesitation to stay in this world. But who would have thought? Just a second ago, my gentle, affectionate girlfriend who clung to me sweetly suddenly became a completely different person. The next moment, she splashed a cup of water straight onto my face, humiliating me in front of everyone. She called me a disgusting man, a foolish and overly self-confident fool. She laughed with smug satisfaction and said, "You gave up everything for me. You don't seriously think I'd fall in love with you because of that, do you?" However, I laughed too. I had gone through so much just to stay here. Did she really think I did it for a woman? In the very last moment before the system detached from my body, it was still cursing me in bitter disappointment. I lowered my head guilty and apologized. "I'm sorry, but I really can't live without Evelyn." The system snapped, furious that I refused to learn. "Have you thought this through? If you give up now, you'll never be able to resurrect in your original world again." I nodded again, my eyes filled with what looked like deep affection for her. "I'm willing." The next second, a wave of unbearable pain surged through my body. When all sensation finally faded, I knew for certain the system had completely abandoned me. But the moment it left, I could barely hold back the smile tugging at my lips. Just then, the door suddenly opened. Evelyn walked in holding a glass of water and smiled gently. "Julian, have some honey water." I smiled back and reached out my hand. Almost at the same instant, Evelyn's gentle expression vanished. She suddenly flung the entire glass of water onto my face and burst into laughter, shaking with delight. "Ha, Julian, you're finished." I said nothing. I simply wiped the water off my face calmly. Evelyn seemed surprised that I showed no reaction. She froze for a moment, then quickly grew smug again. "Now that the system has abandoned you, you're nothing but a useless pawn, right?" Chapter 2. The Truth Behind the Act. Evelyn could barely wait to show off. She revealed that she had always been able to hear the conversations between me and the system. She knew that I had come to this world to save her and then destroy her, so she had been acting along with me the entire time, doing everything she could to make me fall in love with her, to make me unwilling to hurt her, until in the end I would even turn against the system just to protect her. The more she spoke, the more pleased with herself she became. In the end, she even excitedly took a photo of me, called me an idiot, and said, "Are all you guys just single-celled creatures? You don't seriously think I'd fall in love with you, right?" Ha! I pinched the bridge of my nose, hiding the trace of mockery in my expression. Both the system and Evelyn believed that I loved her to the point of obsession, that I would rather give up my chance to be reborn in my original world than hurt her. But they would never know. I had never planned to go back in the first place. In my original world, I was just an overworked corporate slave with a parasitic family that only drained me dry. But in this world, I have everything I want, so why would I ever go back? Of course, I had no intention of telling Evelyn the truth right now. That would be far too boring. I simply nodded faintly and replied, "You win." Chapter 3. The Engagement Banquet Surprise. The next day, at the Sterling family's recognition banquet, Arthur Sterling publicly announced that the popular actress Evelyn was his long-lost biological daughter. Right in front of countless reporters, Evelyn also revealed her relationship status. "Since we're here, I'd like to take this opportunity to share my personal life as well. I already have someone I love, and we're even planning to get married." For a moment, cheers and teasing roars nearly lifted the roof off the venue. Everyone knew that Evelyn had only made it this far because of my support and companionship. Without me, she wouldn't have become famous, let alone gone from an unwanted, illegitimate daughter to being welcomed back into the wealthy Sterling family. So naturally, everyone assumed the person Evelyn loved was me. But just as the atmosphere reached its peak, Evelyn suddenly followed the crowd's gaze toward me and let out a mocking laugh. "The person I love? How could it possibly be someone who lowers himself and has no dignity? A disgusting man. My taste isn't that revolting." The entire hall fell silent. In the deathly stillness, a man stepped through the crowd, walking toward Evelyn one step at a time. He dropped to one knee, raised a ring, and said, "Evelyn, you always say you don't feel secure. Then let me swear in front of everyone. I will love only you for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?" Even though it had clearly been arranged beforehand, Evelyn's face still flushed slightly. She allowed Lucas to slip the ring onto her finger and he gently lifted her hand to place a kiss on it. Whispers spread through the crowd. No one could understand how an obscure, bottom-tier nobody could defeat me and win Evelyn's heart. Only I knew. Lucas was the male protagonist of this world. For two protagonists to be drawn to each other was the most natural thing in the world. Chapter 4. Setting the Trap. Almost the instant the lights brightened again, reporters surged forward all at once. Lucas had remained silent the whole time, but when someone asked whether he had considered Mr. Vance's feelings, he stepped in front of Evelyn protectively and said, "I know Mr. Vance has been deeply devoted to Evelyn, but this kind of self-gratifying sacrifice only causes trouble for others. So I hope Mr. Vance won't harass her again in the future, no matter how you heard it." The words sounded harsh. Everyone assumed I would fly into a rage, maybe even rush forward and start a fight, but I simply smiled faintly and said, "Sure, I can leave right now as long as President Sterling hands over the projects I've been handling." All this time, to convince the system, I had wholeheartedly played the role of a simp. My acting had been so good that even Evelyn herself believed it completely. Before Arthur could respond, Evelyn sneered first. "Are you trying to get my attention this way so I'll realize I can't live without you?" She rolled her eyes carelessly, saying I was absolutely ridiculous. Hooking her arm around Arthur's, she continued, "The Sterling family has more than enough resources. Why would we care about your pathetic little projects? And don't flatter yourself. Those partnerships were interested because of me in the first place. It's not your place to take credit. And those team members of yours, don't think I don't know they've spoken badly about Lucas. You'd better take them all with you when you leave." I calmly listened to everything she said, then raised my phone toward a young female reporter in the front row. "Hey, beautiful, let's add each other. When you got time, send me the video of what she just said, okay?" The girl stared at me in shock, her hands trembling as she scanned my screen. Chapter 5. Collecting the severance pay. That very night, I received a new friend request. At first, I thought it was the young reporter, so I accepted it immediately. A voice message popped up almost right away. I tapped it open, only to unexpectedly hear Lucas's voice. "Julian, Evelyn said she doesn't want to see you anymore. How about this? You leave everything you have here, we'll throw it all out, and I'll give you $1 million as compensation." Before I could reply, another message came through, a video over 30 seconds long. In it, I watched as my belongings were thrown out one by one, from small daily items like my toothbrush and towel, to expensive luxury watches and custom-tailored suits. To be honest, I didn't want any of those things anymore anyway. But if I didn't take this chance to squeeze something out of them, then all these years of playing the simp would have been for nothing. So I deliberately replied in a tone of exaggerated surprise. $1 million? That's nowhere near enough. Those include suits and coats I had specially custom-made by designers and luxury watches I could only get through connections. I know it might be hard for someone of your previous social class to understand, but even at half price, those things are worth at least $5 million. I didn't know if that trick would work on anyone else, but it definitely worked on Lucas. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, I received a notification that $5 million had been deposited into my bank account. I immediately turned around and distributed bonuses to every member of my project team. They had already been holding back a lot of anger because of Evelyn's outrageous behavior. Now they were so moved they were practically in tears, each one expressing loyalty to me. And that was exactly the effect I wanted. I knew every detail of this world's storyline, and I was fully aware of the enormous profits these projects would generate in the future. In the original plot, the Sterling Group would rise to become the industry leader because of them. Meanwhile, Evelyn Sterling would not only win the Best Actress award, but also successfully inherit the Sterling family empire, becoming a highly sought-after woman with both fame and fortune. But now, it was time for someone else to take that seat. Chapter 6. Reclaiming the Vance Empire. With nothing left weighing on my mind, I finally had a good night's sleep. The next day happened to be a day off. I went to the mall next to my hotel, bought a pile of gifts, and drove straight home. The moment my parents saw me carrying bags upon bags out of the car, their faces were filled with suspicion. My mom went, "Oh no, here we go again. Looks like the fox is back, pretending to be friendly." I couldn't blame them for the sarcasm. To keep up the act before, I had done plenty of things that sided against my own family. I had eagerly poached our company's biggest clients and handed them over to the Sterling family. When Evelyn showed interest in my mom's treasured jewelry collection, I immediately presented them to her with both hands. My dad's beloved landscape bonsai, which he had cared for over 10 years, just because Evelyn's father said it looked nice. I had someone deliver it straight into his company lobby. My parents had been furious to the point of nearly exploding. They simply couldn't understand why someone would give up being a perfectly good rich second-generation heir just to become a simp for some minor internet celebrity. And now history seemed to be repeating itself. My dad had even prepared quick-acting heart pills in advance. He frowned and said, "Go on. What do you want this time?" "I broke up with Evelyn. There's something I want to discuss with you." I spoke carefully. "I want to take over the company." My dad's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. My mom immediately started interrogating me, asking if this was another one of Evelyn's terrible ideas. She snapped irritably that shameless girl first wanted our resources, and now she's eyeing the entire company. Fortunately, I had already anticipated this situation. I quickly pulled out the video of Evelyn Sterling and Lucas's engagement. I swore over and over again that I had truly come to my senses. I'm not interested in all that love nonsense anymore. Right now, I just want to grow the company bigger and stronger. My dad stared at Evelyn's face on the screen, his furious gaze almost burning a hole through the phone. I had never heard him use so many insults in my life. After venting for a while, he waved his hand at me. "That thing may be shameless, but you've lied to me too many times. I can't just trust you like that." Still, he said he was willing to give me a chance. "There's a new project coming up. Our biggest competitor is the Sterling family. If you can secure the deal, then I'll believe the nonsense in your head has finally dried up, and we can talk about you taking over the company." This was exactly what I wanted. From the very first month I arrived in this world, I had already planned to stay. So over these past years, on the surface I played the role of Evelyn's simp, doing everything I could to elevate her from a small-time internet influencer to a top-tier star, even helping her return to the Sterling family. But in reality, I was simply using her as a stepping stone to infiltrate the Sterling family, taking the opportunity to learn the ins and outs of nearly all their key projects. And that fool Evelyn never noticed a thing. The most ridiculous part? She even let me take my entire team with me, just to spite me. This time, I'd like to see who she can find to handle this mess. Chapter 7. Let the mad go madder. Over the next few days, I was busy almost day and night. My dad had always been the kind to speak harshly, but care deeply. Seeing that I was finally getting serious, he grinned from ear to ear every day. He even took me to a banquet hosted by one of our partners, introducing me to everyone with a proud smile. Everything was going great, if not for running into that idiot Evelyn again. At the time, I was discussing the company's future plans with my dad when I suddenly heard someone mention my name. I looked up and saw in a pavilion not far away 2 figures leaning closely against each other. A female voice said, "Don't worry, Julian. That brainless simp will hand over the completed project proposal the moment I ask. He'll come running like a dog." Even in the dim light, I could feel my dad's face darken instantly. He stood up on the spot and walked straight toward Evelyn. "Come on, say that again to my face." Evelyn was startled at first, but when she saw that I had followed behind him, she rolled her eyes again. "So you heard it too, Julian? That's great. Saves me the trouble of reminding you again." My dad was so furious he looked like he might explode. He shot me a glare that clearly meant one thing: fight back. But I simply smiled faintly. It wasn't time to completely fall out with Evelyn yet. The less guarded she was around me, the more advantageous it would be for me. Still, over these past years, I had spoiled her too much. Seeing that I neither argued nor got angry, she assumed I was still the same obedient simp as before. Nestling in Lucas's arms, she even pointed at me and said, "Look at him, honey, he's basically an idiot." On the drive home, my dad kept pounding the steering wheel in anger. "How did I end up with such a spineless son? Don't tell me you still like her." I shook my head and said calmly, "Dad, have you ever heard this saying? If you want someone destroyed, you first have to let them go mad." Chapter 8. The Krabby Patty Proposal. Just as I expected, the Sterling Group couldn't find a capable team at all. For several days in a row, Evelyn kept messaging me. "Where's the proposal? Is it done yet? Hurry up." I ignored her completely, letting her stew in anxiety as the deadline drew closer. Evelyn grew more and more impatient. She sent another message. "Julian, are you doing this on purpose? Do you think this will force me to get back together with you? Dream on. This will only make me hate you even more." Only then did I casually reply, "Wait a moment." That moment turned into another 2 days. Evelyn finally lost her patience and sent me over a dozen voice messages in a row. Coincidentally, I was in a meeting with my team at the time. My laptop was projecting onto the screen, and I casually tapped to play the audio out loud. Evelyn's furious voice echoed throughout the entire conference room. "Send me the project proposal right now, or I'll make sure you never see me again." That arrogant, commanding tone instantly irritated everyone on the team. They urged me to reply, "Dude, tell her we'll definitely send her a proposal." So I did. Right before the deadline, the entire project team timed it perfectly and sent Evelyn a recipe for a Krabby Patty. There was no doubt the project went to me. The very day I signed a contract with the person in charge, I had just walked out when I received a call from Evelyn. Her voice practically crackled with rage as she shouted, "Julian, have you lost your mind? What the hell did you send me?" I held the phone a bit farther away, quietly listening to her meltdown. Only after her voice had grown hoarse did I finally respond lazily. "Maybe one of my subordinates sent the wrong file." "The wrong file?" Evelyn's voice dripped with sarcasm. "What are you pretending for? Do you think I haven't already seen through your little tricks?" For a moment, I thought she had actually realized something, but soon enough she continued, "You're just trying to prove how capable you are with this stunt, aren't you? Then you'll beg me to change my mind and come back to you. Keep dreaming, Julian. I don't respond to force. The more underhanded you act, the more I'll despise you." I was speechless. I had clearly overestimated Evelyn. All I could say was her brain was probably chewed on by zombies, and the half that's left doesn't work very well. Chapter 9. Selecting the Hidden Gem. The one happiest about me securing this project was without a doubt my dad. Over the past few days, every time I saw him from afar, the first thing I noticed was always his wide, toothy grin. The old man was overjoyed. More than once, I caught him bowing repeatedly toward the office window, muttering, "Heaven has eyes, Vance might actually get to retire one day." But the moment I pushed the door open, he would immediately put on a serious face again, adopting the posture of a boss. "You did well this time. I can start delegating authority to you and let you try things out, but you'd better not be fooling me. Otherwise, I'll never trust you again." I nodded, playing along with his theatrics. Then I told him I wanted to hire a brand ambassador. His brows instantly furrowed so tightly they could crush a fly. I knew exactly what he was thinking. Hiring an ambassador meant spending a large sum of money, and if that person got involved in a scandal, the company would suffer the backlash too. For someone like him who valued stability above all else, it was the worst possible option. Luckily, I had anticipated this. I laid out a long list of reasons why we absolutely needed one. When he was nearly convinced, I delivered the final blow. "Dad, do you want our company to stay stagnant forever, getting stepped on by others like the Sterling Group?" He froze for a moment, then shook his head. "Well, there you go." I pulled out my tablet and brought up the materials I had prepared long ago. "I've already picked the person. We'll sign her." Chapter 10. Signing Chloe. The signing was handled by the marketing department. Once they found out who I wanted to sign, all of them looked utterly miserable because this female celebrity was just too obscure. Calling her an 18th-tier artist was already being generous. The marketing manager lingered outside my office 8 times in one afternoon. On the last attempt, he finally gathered the courage to knock and come in. "President Vance, maybe you should reconsider. With her current level of popularity, any endorsement fee we pay will basically be money thrown into the ocean." I smiled and shook my head. "I've said it already, I want her." The manager lowered his head, sighed, and walked out. Everyone thought I had lost my mind, but only I knew. Within 2 months, this girl named Chloe would explode in popularity. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say she would redefine beauty standards across the entire entertainment industry. Signing her now meant low cost and earning her lifelong gratitude. It was an unbeatable deal. Soon, Chloe came to the company to shoot the advertisement. Right in front of her, I specifically had people hang a massive poster across the entire exterior wall of the building. She had never received treatment like this before. Tears shimmered in her eyes. I smiled and said, "Why are you crying? I have high hopes for you. Do you believe that one day posters like this will be everywhere?" Chloe threw herself into my arms, her tears instantly soaking my shoulder. Since she had no fame at the moment, over the following days, even though the giant poster remained displayed outside the company for everyone to see, it stirred no reaction, just as I had expected. What surprised me, however, was that Evelyn Sterling and Lucas somehow saw the poster and came to cause trouble again. Evelyn said that this person was Lucas's ex-girlfriend. She sneered. "You actually signed her? Can you stop using these low, disgusting tactics to provoke us?" She continued, "Sure, it gets my attention, but so what? I'll just find you more annoying every single time." I was speechless. Chapter 11. No matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't figure it out. In the original storyline, Lucas didn't even have an ex-girlfriend. While I was lost in thought, Evelyn continued throwing out sarcastic remarks. Only then did I learn that Chloe had actually acted in the same low-budget web drama as Lucas. And because of a single eye contact scene, Lucas's fans had once shipped the two of them as a couple. But Lucas was about as relevant as a fried egg stuck to the bottom of an iron pan. Barely anyone cared. As for those so-called ship rumors, they were about as widely known as the fact that Martin had been hospitalized twice again this year. You're asking who Martin is? He's my driver's son. After getting poisoned by toxic mushrooms and being discharged, he insisted it was because they weren't cooked properly, so he went back and cooked them again. Anyway, just because I signed her, the two of them were already spinning this much drama in their heads. That's honestly ridiculous. He and Evelyn were exactly the same, both acting like they're the center of the universe. I was already getting a headache when I heard Lucas again. He let out a sigh and said, "Julian, do you really dislike me that much? Do you have to go out of your way to make things hard for me? Life is dull and meaningless. Animals are out here lecturing humans. If the timing were right, I'd have the entire company roast him to oblivion, one line after another." During this period, because I had been working so intensely, my dad basically retired early. He lived a carefree life now, going out late, coming home early, drinking tea, and walking his bird. Ever since he stopped maintaining his strict father persona, he'd added a new daily activity, rushing over to take off my coat the moment I got home, grinning like he was starring in some toothpaste commercial. Well, if it isn't President Vance. Please have a seat. You've worked hard." Teasing me had practically become his daily routine. But one day, when I opened the door and habitually spread my arms, he suddenly slapped my hands away. "Look at this shameless thing," he snapped, shoving his phone in my face. I swear, I wish I had 8 arms like an octopus so I could slap her 8 times at once. I leaned back a little before my eyes could finally focus on the screen. Were photos of Lucas. In the bottom left corner of each one was a short, 3-line love poem. I frowned. "What is this?" My dad replied, "Lucas is now the spokesperson for the Sterling Group, and he's even written all these nauseating lines." I'm about to throw up just looking at them. I raised an eyebrow in surprise. Seeing that I wasn't angry at all, my dad hesitated for a moment before asking, "You don't still like?" I immediately raised my hand to cut him off. "Stop right there. One more word, and you're crossing the line." As far as I knew in the original storyline, Evelyn herself had been the spokesperson for the Sterling family. It seemed that because of my interference, the story had completely derailed from its original path, and was now racing wildly toward an unknown direction. Chapter 12. Ridiculous Beyond Words. I had to admit, within this world, Evelyn and Lucas did seem to carry some degree of protagonist luck. As long as they were serious about something, their chances of success were always a little higher than everyone else's. This time, they worked with marketing accounts to edit the original proposal video, cutting out the beginning and end, keeping only the most romantic moments. Then they paired it with the recent 3-line love poems, hyping up their relationship everywhere. Overnight, the couple pairing went viral across the internet. People were obsessed with shipping them, and the revenue of the Sterling Group soared. At a moment like this, Evelyn naturally didn't forget to show off in front of me. She returned the Krabby Patty recipe I had sent and sneered, "Did you really think the Sterling Group couldn't survive without that one project? Julian, your life is just ridiculous. Not only are you abandoned by the system, you're abandoned by me too." Lucas also pretended to advise me. "Man, I told you a long time ago there was no need to act out of pride, but you wouldn't listen. You insisted on signing Chloe. See, wasn't that endorsement fee just wasted?" He added, "You should have signed me back then. Maybe for my girlfriend's sake, I would have even considered it." Evelyn let out a soft snort. "Darling, don't waste your breath on him. He's extremely self-important. He probably still thinks he's the smartest person in the world." It seemed like Lucas kissed her right after that. Came a series of indescribable wet sounds. This is beyond ridiculous, like ridiculous had a mother who opened the door for even more ridiculous. It's ridiculous to the extreme. Just how high is the bar for being a normal person? How is it that this man and woman simply can't step over it no matter what? And they even had to keep the call going so I could hear all of this. Don't tell me I'm part of their little play too. Chapter 13. Heavenly Ego Maximus. Over the next month, Evelyn and Lucas not only shot magazine spreads together, but also appeared on a reality show. During a live stream, the host asked Evelyn if she had ever been in a relationship. She shook her head and looked shyly at Lucas. "No, I haven't. The right person came a little late, so I chose to wait patiently." The entire internet went wild shipping them. The popularity of the couple pairing kept rising. During that time, a blogger posted accusations against Evelyn. "Cut the crap about never being in a relationship. I'm in the same circle as her and her ex-boyfriend. That guy practically worked himself to death for her. How does she have the nerve to play the pure love persona? Disgusting. The blogger even posted a few photos of me and Evelyn together, thoughtfully blurring my face. Evelyn had been spending heavily to push trending topics lately. Since the blogger mentioned her name, the post gained a lot of traffic and quickly climbed to the top of the trending charts. But although Lucas had never been a big star, he was surprisingly quick to learn public relations. He immediately released a lawyer's letter claiming the blogger was spreading false rumors. He posted, "The man in the photo was once Evelyn's manager. He was later fired for stealing company secrets. We hope rumors stop with the wise." After that, he bought a large number of bot accounts to control the narrative. When the incident died down, he and Evelyn once again gained a wave of attention. My dad was so furious that he replaced his daily bird walking with drinking tea and then upgraded that to meditation, but I remained completely unbothered. After returning from meditation, he scolded me angrily. "You can tolerate this? Are you even my son, the heavenly ego Maximus?" I was speechless. What's there to not tolerate? I said if anything, I wanted the hype to grow even bigger. I had already heard that Arthur had tasted success from this situation and was planning to fully delegate authority to Evelyn. He had even agreed to let her use the marketing budget from the previous few quarters to develop a new product, and that new product was almost identical to the one I was about to launch. As long as she poured money into it, I had every confidence I could make her lose everything. Chapter 14. Setting a Butterfly Free. Just as I expected, with Lucas offering terrible ideas and Evelyn Sterling's arrogance fueling the process, the Sterling family's new project quickly entered the preparation phase, and the TV drama I had been waiting for so long finally aired. That day, I turned on the television early and called my dad over. "Stop meditating, come watch TV." My dad's face wrinkled up like a chrysanthemum. "Things are about to blow up and you're still sitting here relaxing?" I waved a finger. "This isn't relaxation, this is my hunting moment." Within just 1 week, Chloe gained over 1 million new followers. With its fresh storyline and her outstanding acting, she broke through the crowd of rising actresses and shot to fame almost instantly. By the second week, thanks to my investment, 2 more web dramas starring her were released one after another. Her acting was nearly flawless and her appearance was so refined it bordered on perfection. Everyone said she was born to be a star. For a time, the trending charts were practically dominated by her name, and with my additional push behind the scenes, she became even more popular than in the original storyline. Fans began digging into her past frantically, and both the company and I became the biggest winners. Everyone was stunned. My dad stopped meditating and started scrolling on his phone, cheering along with the younger employees at the company. "Son, you've got a great eye." Even the marketing manager marveled. "For Chloe to blow up like this, it's incredible. President Vance, maybe you should switch careers and become a talent scout." My dad added, "Don't call him Little President Vance from now on. He's your only President Vance." Then he turned to me again. "Julian, why don't you sign a few more like her? This is way too profitable." I shook my head. There won't be another. Chloe was one of a kind in this world. In the original storyline, this perfect version of her had been created only to serve as a contrast to the female lead, Evelyn. In the future, Evelyn would not only become a top star in the entertainment industry, but also inherit the Sterling Group, achieving both fame and power as the ultimate main character. Meanwhile, even though Chloe would win countless awards after becoming famous, she would constantly be compared to Evelyn. As a foil to the main heroine, she would be criticized for competing with another woman whenever they wore similar outfits, and mocked for appealing to men just for wearing a short skirt while hosting a show. When public outrage reached its peak, accusing her of refusing to change, Evelyn would directly acquire her agency and completely blacklist her. But now, I had cut through the web of the storyline and set a butterfly free. Chapter 15. The Delusional Return. Over the past 2 weeks, the ones under the most pressure were undoubtedly Evelyn Sterling and Lucas. All the attention across the internet was focused on Chloe. No matter how desperately Evelyn and Lucas tried to interact and stir up hype, no one paid them any mind. As a result, their plan to use their couple popularity to boost their company's products completely fell apart. On the other hand, since I had signed Chloe early on, in everyone's eyes, I was the one who had accompanied her from the bottom all the way to the top, the benefactor behind her rise. And since Chloe only had one known endorsement, her fans enthusiastically rushed to support sales. At this perfect moment, I took advantage of the momentum and launched our company's new product. Once Evelyn couldn't recover her investment, her cash flow began to collapse. Soon, Even other projects under the Sterling Group were forced to halt, with the entire structure on the verge of collapse. She suddenly remembered me again, sending me countless messages every single day. She wrote, "Julian, know when to stop. If you wanted my attention, you've already achieved your goal. Why are you competing with me? Do you like me that much? Haven't I told you many times? I like men who treat me well and know how to give. The way you are now is just too disappointing. You're not even comparable to one of Lucas's toes." I was speechless, but no matter what she said, I simply didn't reply. Days passed like this. I was sitting in my office reviewing revenue reports when a sudden commotion came from outside. Frowning, I stood up and opened the door, only to unexpectedly see Evelyn being stopped by two security guards outside. The moment she saw me, she snapped hysterically, "Julian, how dare you have people block me?" I waved my hand, signaling the guards to leave. Now only the two of us remained in the office. She stormed up to me and kicked the office chair, glaring at me with hatred. "You couldn't have me, so now you want to destroy me? What kind of psycho are you, turning love into hatred like this?" Even now, she was still this delusional. I must have acted far too well back then. "Evelyn," I said, letting out a long sigh, "have you ever considered another possibility? What if I never loved you at all?" She visibly froze for a moment, then quickly shot back. "Stop pretending. You were abandoned by the system because of me. How could you not love me?" I let out a soft laugh. Everything was already firmly under my control. I had no intention of continuing the act. "So you really thought," I said with a smile, "that I stayed in this world for you?" Chapter 16. Are you even worthy? For the first time, a flicker of panic appeared on her face. "What do you mean?" I spoke slowly. "Isn't it possible that from the very beginning, I already knew your so-called secret?" Step by step, I moved closer to Evelyn. Just moments ago, she had been arrogant and domineering, but now she retreated in fear, cold sweat forming on her forehead. My voice was gentle, yet carried a chilling edge as I smiled. "What are you afraid of? What's so scary about a simp?" Evelyn swallowed hard. Her legs gave out, and she collapsed to the ground like a heap of mud. Seizing the moment, I turned, grabbed the glass of water from the desk, and just like she had done before, splashed it straight onto her face without hesitation. I said, "Have you ever looked in the mirror? What exactly do you think I'd see in you? Let me tell you the truth. I figured out a long time ago that you could hear the conversations between me and the system. Those cheesy, cringeworthy lines I said later. I said them on purpose for you to hear." Her face turned deathly pale. Looking at her current pitiful state, I felt the illusion around this so-called female lead completely shatter. Seeing that she couldn't even speak anymore, I pressed the bell and called for security. "Take her out." "Oh, and before that, bring her to the front desk and have her pay for this chair." Two tall security guards nodded and stepped forward, grabbing her from both sides. It was as if she had only just woken from a dream. Her eyes reddened as she shouted at me, "Julian, you're just saying all this to make me angry, right? Is it because me being with Lucas broke you? So now you're trying to get revenge in this way?" "Still huffing, huh?" Sigh. I really gave too much face. Now even a cat thinks the advantage is on its side. I mimicked her earlier tone and burst into loud laughter. "Next time you ask something like that, try asking yourself first, are you even worthy?" Chapter 17. Exposing Lucas. After sending Evelyn away, I informed the front desk that no matter what, they were not to let her in again. They agreed immediately, but I forgot, if she couldn't get in, there was still Lucas. The next day, Lucas claimed to be my closest friend. While the receptionist was calling to confirm with me, he rushed straight into the elevator. Unlike Evelyn, who came to confront me, he started off by trying to be friendly. "Bro, are you upset because we said you stole company secrets, so now you're targeting us everywhere? But we didn't have a choice back then." I glanced at the faint red light blinking from somewhere in his shirt pocket and couldn't help but feel amused. Such a clumsy trick, and he still dared to show it off in front of me. But I didn't mind teasing the dog a little, so I nodded. Lucas grew a bit anxious and asked again, "Really?" I nodded once more. "Say something. If it's true, say it." I couldn't help but laugh. He and Evelyn really were made for each other. "Lucas," I said lazily, "you don't seriously think recording some vague evidence and editing it a bit will let you turn the tables on me, do you?" Having been exposed, Lucas froze for a moment. Then he quickly put on a humble and deeply emotional expression. "Bro, why are you so determined to destroy Evelyn? I just think that as a man, being this petty isn't a good look. After all, you once loved her deeply." I let out a scoff and shook my head. "Sorry, but I never loved her. And honestly, why bring this up again? What does this have to do with being a man or a woman? Can you stop trying to guilt-trip me? But Lucas ignored that and continued. Stop pretending, bro. As a fellow man, I know exactly what you're thinking. You probably think this is the only way to make a woman unable to leave you. But you're wrong. Women are meant to be cherished. The more you spoil her, the more she'll love you. You have no idea what kind of life Evelyn is living right now. I do know, I replied. I asked whether he meant that Evelyn had already sold half of her shares, or that several major shareholders of the Sterling Group were now watching her like hawks, or perhaps that if things continued like this, she would eventually lose everything. Lucas stared at me, stunned. Why? You knew all this? Then why are you still? Why can I still stand by and do nothing? I finished for him with a soft laugh. Because I already told you, I don't love her at all. Chapter 18. Playing the jealousy game. When Lucas left, his expression was even more complicated than Evelyn Sterling's. But I had no time to care about them. The company was thriving, and all the projects I had prepared earlier were now generating revenue. I didn't know whether Evelyn regretted anything, but the other shareholders of the Sterling Group certainly did. They kept sending me messages trying to reconcile. After some time, Evelyn finally seemed unable to hold on any longer. She started sending me voice messages frequently again, but this time her tone had completely changed. Julian, do you have time to have a meal with me? I haven't seen you in a long time. I'd like to talk. I don't think we had to end up like this. Last night, I dreamed about the 3 years we spent together again. Those unforgettable 3 years. How could there have been no feelings at all? Julian, come back with your project team, okay? Without hesitation, I sent her the video the young reporter had given me long ago. I still remembered very clearly the arrogant expression she had in it. She stayed silent for a long time, perhaps embarrassed, but still forced herself to explain. No matter what she said, I didn't reply with a single word. Unfortunately, we were still in the same circle. No matter how much I wanted to avoid her, we were bound to run into each other at certain banquets. I could feel her eyes on me the entire time, but I didn't spare her a single glance, until she finally grabbed me like a neglected kitten, looking aggrieved. Julian, can we talk? I was about to refuse outright, but the moment I looked up, I saw Lucas approaching from a distance, his face full of suspicion. So the words on my tongue shifted. Talk about what? Dating? Evelyn's face lit up with surprise. I knew it. I knew you still have feelings for me. Julian, I knew it. I knew it. Even if you stayed on purpose, those 3 years you treated me well were real. I don't believe it was all fake. Watching Lucas getting closer, I deliberately asked, so what do you want? She said, Julian, only you know how much effort I put in to get where I am today. Please help me one more time, okay? I raised my hand slightly, and Evelyn immediately handed me a cup of honey water with a docile expression. But at almost the exact same moment, Lucas's furious voice rang out clearly. Evelyn, what are you doing? Evelyn's hand trembled. She turned around and saw Lucas, his teeth clenched in rage. The next second, as if overwhelmed with anger, Lucas clutched his chest and collapsed backward. Evelyn hurriedly set down the cup and rushed to support him. Chapter 19. The Double Agent. I watched with great interest as the two of them argued back and forth in front of me. Lucas wanted Evelyn to go back with him, while Evelyn insisted that he wait for her in the car. They patiently tried to persuade each other until Evelyn pouted and said, Do you not trust me anymore? Only then did Lucas sigh helplessly and nod. All right, I'll wait for you in the car. However, almost the moment he walked out the door, Evelyn let out a long breath of relief. She quickly walked toward me. Under my amused gaze, she adjusted her dress and said with a hint of guilt, Sorry, Julian Lucas, it's fine. All her prepared explanations got stuck in her throat. She cautiously sat down beside me. Seeing that I didn't say anything, a trace of joy appeared on her face. She was probably praising her own charm in her heart right now. Julian, actually, I still have feelings for you. Evelyn's voice turned soft and ambiguous. Really? I asked. As I spoke, I pulled her hand toward me. Evelyn didn't resist, letting me draw her into my arms. Just as I lifted her chin, about to go a step further, Lucas suddenly returned. Everything unfolded exactly as I had expected. Lucas's eyes were red as he stared at the scene, his whole body trembling. Of course, I had no intention of actually kissing her, and after acting this out twice, I was already bored. So right in front of them, I stretched lazily, waved my hand, and said goodbye. Looks like someone's going to have a rough night when they get back. Chapter 20. Leaking the Messages. My dad had practically watched the entire scene unfold. Once we were somewhere private, he immediately started lecturing me again. Isn't this just messing around? Aren't you worried about what people will say? I smiled. With my current status, do you really think anyone dares to say anything about me? My dad choked for a moment. He wanted to lecture me, but he also knew I was telling the truth. In the end, all he managed was, "You brat." That night, just before going to bed, I received another voice message from Evelyn Sterling. Using that soft, coquettish tone I had once praised countless times, she said, "One person's lingering attachment can't bring two people back together. One heart's reluctance can't restore a broken bond between two hearts." I was done playing along with her act. I asked directly, "Did Lucas teach you that too?" There was a long silence on the other end. After a while, she finally replied, "My feelings for Lucas are different from my feelings for you. You wouldn't understand." I immediately took a screenshot and sent it to Lucas. That night, I figured they probably didn't sleep together because Evelyn started sending me suggestive photos afterward. I didn't sit idle either. I forwarded every single one of them to Lucas. Only when I was too sleepy to keep my eyes open did I finally stop being their messenger. But when it came to certain things, Lucas and I clearly didn't think the same way. Even though Evelyn was the one trying to seduce me, he somehow thought I was the one harassing her. So the next morning when I woke up, my name was trending. I only found out about it from Chloe early in the morning. She sent me a screenshot. "Julian, look, our names are together." But not even 5 minutes later, she must have clicked into the topic and understood what had happened, because she quickly sent another message. "Julian, it's negative news, don't look." Chapter 21. The radio interview backfire. Of course I looked. It turned out that at 3:30 a.m., Lucas had given a radio interview. In the interview, he told the host that I, Julian, was the manager who had stolen company confidential documents. Not only had I stolen them, but instead of lying low, I had blatantly plagiarized, and the plagiarized product had even become a hit. In the recording, Lucas's voice sounded righteous as he said, "There's one more thing I didn't want to bring up, but Julian has been messaging my fiancé every day talking about inappropriate things. The content is so explicit, it's just..." The host asked, "So you're saying he's harassing your fiancé?" Lucas sighed. "It may not sound nice to put it that way, but that's the truth." Because this incident involved Chloe as a brand ambassador, it quickly rode on her popularity and shot up to the top of the trending charts. A large number of gossip-hungry netizens flooded into the discussion. But what neither Lucas nor I expected was that no one was criticizing me. At this point, most of the internet was filled with Chloe's fans, and I was known as the one who had supported her rise. Chloe had mentioned me in many interviews, praising me as a kind and approachable person. People believed there had to be more to the story. Soon, someone dug up the fact that when Lucas first accused me of stealing confidential information in an earlier interview, Chloe, still an unknown at the time, had spoken up in my defense. Back then, she had little influence and was heavily attacked for it. But it was those very attackers that made fans notice something suspicious. Most of those accounts had random usernames, blank profile pictures, and no posts at all, textbook bot accounts. The internet exploded. Netizens began commenting. "So Lucas was already hiring bots to smear President Vance back then? What's his deal? This is hilarious. If you're going to spend money, at least don't make it so obvious. With President Vance's eye for talent, why would he need to steal secrets? Did everyone forget he's President Vance, the heir of the Vance family? Why would he even need to work as someone else's manager?" Chapter 22. Public opinion shifts. Everything unfolded in a direction completely beyond Lucas's expectations. Someone dug up the official employee records published by the Sterling Group, and my name wasn't on the list at all, which meant the so-called manager story was pure nonsense. Lucas couldn't resist jumping in to argue. "Have you never worked before? Do companies have to publicly list every hire? If the Sterling family's daughter hires a personal manager, does she need to announce it to the world?" But the more he tried to justify himself, the more suspicious it looked. Originally, I hadn't planned to push him to the edge, but now I had already lit a candle for him in advance. Sure enough, netizens quickly fired back. "Maybe for small companies, but not for the Sterling Group. I have a relative who's a senior executive there." I asked them. President Vance was never a manager. He was Evelyn's ex-boyfriend. One stone stirred 1,000 waves. The blogger whose account had been taken down earlier also returned and commented, "I told you guys before, and you didn't believe me. Julian was Evelyn's first love back then. He treated her incredibly well, gave her resources, connections, personally pushed her to the top. Who would have thought this scumbag woman would bite the hand that fed her?" Others chimed in, "That's right, I work at Sterling Group. Lots of people in the company know about their relationship." Lucas tried to repeat his old tricks, buying bots, taking down accounts, but this time Chloe directly reposted the discussion and added, "Justice lives in people's hearts. I will always support Julian." At that point, public opinion spiraled completely out of control, and as the central figure of the whole situation, I didn't even need to show up. Everything rose like a storm and then settled like dust. It felt as if I had been sitting in the eye of a hurricane, quietly watching the entire forest play out. Chapter 23. Complete Collapse. When Evelyn realized she could no longer control the situation, she rushed over to find me again. But I had already instructed the front desk and security. No matter what she did, she wasn't getting in. She could only stay less than 100 meters away, sending me voice messages in desperation. "Julian, please save me. They've tricked me out of all my shares. I have nothing left now. I didn't know Lucas would do something this stupid. Please just let me go, okay? The whole internet is attacking me right now. If this keeps going, I'll lose my mind. Julian, if you help me this one time, I'll break up with him. I'll marry you, okay? Julian, please just come out and see me." By the end, her voice was full of sobs. But I felt no sympathy. Even now, how could she still foolishly believe that marrying me would be some kind of favor to me? I sent her one final message. "I never stayed here for you, and I never had any feelings for you. You said you spent those 3 years acting with me. Well, what a coincidence, I was acting with you the whole time too." After that, I blocked her completely. It seemed to push Evelyn over the edge. The woman who had always cared so much about her image suddenly started throwing a tantrum in the lobby. I heard her screaming, "Bring him out. He's not Julian at all. He's an outsider brought here by the system. Bring him out and let him confront me." No one paid her any attention. She kept shouting, "You don't believe me, do you? I'm calling the police." But after the police understood the situation, they only gently suggested that she seek psychological help. Evelyn collapsed into complete despair. She slumped to the ground, then was dragged out by security like discarded trash, still muttering, "He's really not Julian. He's an outsider abandoned by the system. Why does no one believe me?" Chapter 24. True Protagonist. I walked over to the window, looking at her miserable state. All I felt was contempt. A so-called female lead who could have achieved success with just a little effort. Yet she insisted on taking shortcuts, relying on me, and chasing crooked paths instead of doing things properly. Ending up like this, she had no one to blame but herself. At that moment, my dad came in after hearing the commotion. He followed my gaze and glanced downstairs, letting out a low sound. "She looks pretty miserable." I asked, "Do you want to help her?" He waved his hand dismissively. "What are you talking about?" "She brought this on herself." I nodded. "Then help me find a few documents. I've got a meeting to attend." My dad looked at me in surprise, as if he hadn't expected me to recover so quickly. But there was still a long road ahead. Who would stop walking just because they stumbled over a stone? Minor characters get trapped by love. Real protagonists learn to love themselves. Chapter 25. A New Beginning. Months passed, and the dust surrounding the Sterling Group's collapse finally settled. With Evelyn stripped of her standing and Lucas's reputation completely ruined, their influence faded into total irrelevance. The Vance Corporation, under my full leadership, reached unprecedented financial heights. One afternoon, our company held a grand gala to celebrate the massive international expansion of our core brand. The venue was packed with business leaders, partners, and media outlets, all eagerly anticipating our next moves. As I stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline, my dad walked over, holding a glass of juice. He had fully embraced his relaxed retirement lifestyle, but tonight he wore a sharp suit and a wide, proud smile. "I have to hand it to you," he said, taking a slow sip. "When you told me you were going to take over and turn everything around, I had my doubts. But looking at all of this now, I can finally rest easy knowing the company is in the right hands." "You built the foundation, Dad," I replied with a smile. "I just pushed us into the next era." He clapped me warmly on the shoulder. "Just remember to enjoy the journey too, son. Work isn't the only thing that matters." Before I could answer, a burst of applause filled the hall. Chloe had just arrived, dressed in an elegant couture gown, now a top-tier global star. She had grown remarkably confident, yet her genuine, grounded nature remained completely unchanged. Navigating through the crowd of executives and journalists, she made her way directly toward my dad and me. "President Vance," Chloe said, bowing slightly to my dad before turning to me with a bright, warm smile. "Julian, congratulations on tonight." "You're the face of our brand, Chloe," I said, handing her a glass. "A huge part of this success belongs to you." Only because someone saw potential in me when no one else would, she replied softly, her eyes shining with sincere gratitude. I'll never forget who gave me my chance. My dad chuckled knowingly, raised his glass in a silent toast, and quietly slipped away to join some of his older business friends, leaving the two of us to talk. We stepped out onto the balcony, where the cool evening breeze quieted the noise of the party inside. Looking out over the illuminated city, I felt a deep sense of calm. The past, filled with manipulative games, system mandates, and toxic relationships, was entirely behind me. I was no longer playing a role in anyone else's script. I was fully living my own life. What are you thinking about? Chloe asked gently, leaning against the balcony railing beside me. Just thinking about how far we've come, I answered truthfully, and how clear the future looks now. Chloe smiled, looking out at the city lights. Then here's to the future. To the future, I agreed. For the first time since arriving in this world, I felt completely fulfilled. I had built a legacy, protected those who truly mattered, and reclaimed full control of my destiny. Real protagonists don't just survive the storm. They build a life worth living after it passes.